Hi, how are y'all today? Welcome to another week of Let's Talk Shop. And guess what? I said, you know what? I'm just going to try and go online and see if anybody joins and try to have a little bit of a conversation. And if we don't have a conversation and nobody joins, that's okay too. So, yes, I started doing this live every week on Thursday evenings around this time, mainly because I had people ask me a couple questions about the behind the scene things that I do as a business owner for my coaching business and how I manage some of the things and what softwares I use. And so I was like, okay, that's cool, but let's just do it as a video. So if anybody else wants to know, I can direct them to the video. And I thought it was just a good way to share some behind the scenes. So that's what this is about. Let's see. So since it's just me today, or so far, the one thing that I have been thinking about lately is consistency and what does that mean? Because I feel like we always hear people say you need consistency in your business. But what the hell does that mean? Consistency in what context? Because there's consistency in paying your bills, there's consistency in talking to new people, there's consistency in updating your website, there's consistency in literally so many different realms, and different than when you're an employee. When you're an employee, you go in and you do one job for the most part every single time. Like there's not a whole bunch of question about what do I need to come in here to do today. But as an entrepreneur, it's not that simple because you have your marketing hat, your operations hat, your customer service hat, your gosh, there's so many different things. If you are a person who is into Donald Miller, and he does what's the name of his Business Made Simple. He talks about all the different components of running a business. And when you come from being an employee, you don't necessarily think about how in your corporate job there are different people doing all of those other parts because you don't have to interact with all of those people. Sometimes you do, but 9 times out of 10, you don't. And not only do you not have to interact with them, you might conceptually understand what they do, but you don't necessarily understand how to do what they do. But once you become an entrepreneur, you got to figure all of that out, every single bit of that. So trying to be consistent in each one of those areas is like, wait, what? I do every single one of these things every single day. And that's the myth I want to bust right here. Like, consistency doesn't mean that we do every single thing every single day. There's absolutely no way. We would spend it would be like if we have 5 different buckets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trying to do a little bit in each one of those buckets every single day would be like adding a drop in this bucket, a drop in this bucket, a drop in each and every bucket, which one drop in each bucket, 9 times out of 10, if it's a warm place, that drop will have melted before you even get back around to adding the next drop, right? Which is no wonder why so many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, micro business owners, new business owners feel burnt out because we're putting one drop in all of these little buckets instead of figuring out what's the most important bucket to focus on right now so that I can get a good stream going and get that moving and then move on to another bucket and fill that bucket. And I have to be honest, that's a mindset shift from the way a lot of us think about being an entrepreneur. Because we were taught to multitask and do all the things. But I found that as an entrepreneur, multitasking is the antithesis of productivity. Multitasking is the antithesis, the opposite, the enemy, the what is the villain of productivity. So, yeah, I had to figure out how to stop doing that. And when I figured out that I needed to stop being a multitasker and that I needed to really get better at just focusing, then then things actually started to change. I started to see momentum happen. I really started to see progress. And that was a huge, huge thing. So when I'm talking about consistency, the thing that I am currently working on becoming more consistent with is getting consistent results with my YouTube videos, getting consistent results and in some of my content creation. Because it can get really easy to be bogged down by all the other things that need to get done, especially because I didn't become a business owner to be a content creator. Becoming a content creator has become a part of being a successful business owner because that's how you grow your audience. That's how you connect with people. That's how you get your products and services in front of other people. But yeah, I didn't wake up saying, oh, I want to be a content creator. So it's had to grow on me. I've had to learn how to do it. And I've had to learn how to figure out how I can find some passion around it and enjoy it, so that I can do it more consistently. So if I were to imagine what questions someone would ask about being consistent when it comes to marketing, or I don't want to call it marketing, I'm going to call it being a content creator and being able to share my services and products with someone else, I would say one thing I've learned is to first and foremost figure out what type of content comes most naturally to you. So that for me has looked like I spent like a good year and a half trying to grow on Instagram, and I it I struggled at it. And I now looking back, I would say the main reason I struggle with it is because when you try to start with short form content and you have not yet figured out your niche, you haven't figured out what's the main thing that's going to attract people about you. If you're not good at doing that in a short form way, then you don't attract anybody. And that's the second thing. I had to decide who I wanted to attract rather than trying to attract everybody. Because when I was just like, I'm a life coach for people who want a life change, who have big dreams, who want to change their lives, I got clients, but it was mainly through referral. But my audience, my impact didn't really start growing until I focused my target audience on Black women, and specifically Black women who struggle with the same things I do around recovering as a strong Black woman and making this transition to really create our soft life. And once I started talking about that content became so much easier. It's been so much easier to grow an audience since then. I've seen my YouTube channel grow. Thanks, you guys, for joining and following and subscribing. I've seen all of that grow so much better, so much more consistently now that I've focused in my target audience than what it was before, when I wasn't as blunt about it. So, yeah. So let me see. What was the first thing I said? The first thing I said, man, I'm really going off the top of the head. I'm just like sharing some thoughts here. So that's why I've lost my train of thought. A couple things that help me become consistent. Okay, that's what it was. So first is figuring out what's the right type of content for you. And I would say, hands down, start on YouTube, because the long form content is easier for you to play around with. It's easier for you to get your thoughts out. It's easier for you to develop and figure out how to be a content creator versus trying to start directly on Instagram. I think most of us don't think in that 90-second hook mentality. If you do, that's great. But the people who I've found that do really great on short form content are people who have gone to school for it, who have been trained to think in that hook, line, and sinker type mentality. And it's taken an evolution for me to be able to figure it out, but I've gotten better at it and figured out what kind of content that I want to create that hook, line, and sinker around after spending some time creating long form content. So yeah, so start with long form content, or I suggest start with long form content, but more than anything, start with the type of content that feels most natural to you. And then get really, really clear on who your target audience is and be bold about it. Don't try to talk to everybody. For one, it's not even fun to talk to everybody. It's so much better. I've had so much more fun on YouTube when I get my people, like I say something weird and they're like, girl, that ain't weird. This, that, I think like that too. Man, it's so much more affirming. It's so much, you feel the difference when you feel like you found your people rather than when you're trying to talk to everybody, you're chasing them, trying to get them to see that you're amazing. Where when you're talking to your specific target audience, they come to you because they're like, oh, you my people too? Yes. It's so much easier. So number two is, make sure you speak to your target audience. Like, don't try to just talk to everybody. And even within that, figure out, yes, my target audience is Black women, but even specifically more deeply inside of that, I want to talk to Black women who are these high achieving, high aspiring Black women who have been working constantly to accomplish the American dream, only to find that is bullshit, and that they actually want another way to get to that measure of success that they've always had in their mind. So that's why I speak to that woman who wants to quit being the strong Black woman, because I relate to all of that into that statement. What would I say is the third thing for consistency? The third thing for consistency is invest in tools that help you do the things that you want to do without having to figure it out. They make it simple. Invest in automation, invest in templates, invest in anything that's going to simplify your life, because you're going to do a lot of work as a small business owner, micro business owner, entrepreneur as it is. Make your life easier in any way that you can when you can. You're exchanging time for money or money for time. I am in this place where I would much rather exchange money for time rather than trying to figure it out. Now, I've been a business owner since June of 2019. So I'm 5.5 years in. And for a long time, I could have been investing in my business earlier. And I now look back and I wish that I would have been investing in my business earlier. Things would be a lot different. My flywheel, my momentum would have increased a lot faster and a lot sooner. So please, When you think you don't have the money for XYZ thing that you know is going to help you, find the money. Find it and recognize that it's an investment in you. It's an investment in you to have rest. It's an opportunity for you to get back the time and energy that you've always wanted. Um, and not just for a minute, like you're setting yourself up to have the systems and the know-how to continue to get the time that you want. Because that was the whole reason that you started the business, right? You wanted lifestyle freedom. You wanted location freedom. You wanted financial freedom. You wanted all of these different measures of freedom. But when we choose to, um, when we choose to try and do it all ourselves, we're giving up that freedom to be a workhorse for ourselves rather than being a workhorse for the man. So yeah, don't be a workhorse for anybody, not even yourself. Pay the money so that you can have the freedom that you want. So yeah, those are the three things that I would say has helped me with consistency. I'm continuing to grow in consistency. The next thing that I want to do to help myself with consistency is to invest in, I'm trying to decide if I want to invest in ads again. I have done it before. Or do I want to invest in a video editor? Because both lead generation and video editing are probably the most time consuming tasks that I have on a regular basis. And neither one of those necessarily need to be things that I need to have my hands on every single day. I know that there's people who are much better editors than me, and I don't want to sit and edit all day. So, and the same thing with ads. There are millions of people in this world. I want to meet them, but I don't want to meet them by getting on all of their profiles. Now, remember, I'm not doing any of these as this one thing that's going to fix everything. That's a couple different parts of my strategy that all comes together. So I'm handing off the parts of my strategy that I can hand off, and I'm keeping the other things that I need to be in the forefront of. But when I pass those things off, that gives me the time to more easily step into consistency in the other parts of my business that really need me to be a part of it. So yes, those are the things that I'm thinking about and working on as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur. Consistency. I would love to hear your thoughts around consistency. So, if you are a small business owner, what are you trying to be consistent about right now? Is it sales? Is it making content? Is it sending out emails? There's so many things. I would love to know what you're trying to be consistent on and how are you working through that. And maybe I can learn something amazing from you. So yeah, I hope that you take a second to share here in the comments. Yeah, this was fun, an easy, quick video. And that's it. That's all I got today. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.